I just do the best I can at that moment, and then I just ask for forgiveness if I make a mistake.
You can't be perfect at everything.
Black women are indeed the caregivers of the world.
There's peace in having money in the bank.
That
Jess.
is, it is. You know, sex is important. I started to sleep naked.
I remember when cancer was something that people didn't even talk about. Minnie Riperton could not talk about having breast cancer. Hey everybody, it's Michelle Rice, and this is CLEO Speaks. Hey, Contessa.
Hello.
It's so good to see you.
It's always great to see you.
Thank you for joining me. I'm sitting here with my friend, Dr. Contessa,
My
TV
pleasure.
star, 3 times board-certified physician, doing all the things.
You really make me sound smart. I mean, I'm just over here mommying and wifing, so it really feels good to hear that somebody like you sees me as somebody who is aspirational, so thank you.
Listen, and I'm mommying and wifing and
Yes, you are.
working,
Yes,
so
you are.
I know how hard that is.
Yes.
So let's talk a little bit about work-life balance.
Yes.
When you're mommying and wifing and working and you're trying to juggle all these things, how do you, number one, stay mentally fit, but
Yeah.
also physically fit? 'Cause
Yeah,
you have to put the time in for that, all of that.
For all of it, and it's tough. I think balance is that word that I never have quite achieved. I try to give 100% to whatever's in front of me. And so if I'm with my kids, I'm not thinking about work. I'm 100% with them. And if I'm at work, I'm 100% on the job. And so that's how I roll. And that is actually what has sustained me, because I tried to do a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and I just I was not successful. And so I gave up on that whole concept of me being perfect at everything. I just do the best I can at that moment, and then I just ask for forgiveness if I make a mistake. You talked about fitness. That actually made a big difference for me. When I was, before I gained that COVID-19, that's what I would say. And so I actually did a fitness competition, and it taught me, believe it or not, people think it's all about the exercise. It's really all about the food. Food is truly medicine. And when I was not eating mostly plants, whole foods, then I felt terrible. I felt fatigued. I did not feel like I had enough energy to get through the day, because that was a tough time for everybody.
Right.
And then even from a mental standpoint, relationships are so important. And I practice essentially lifestyle medicine. And lifestyle medicine is an actual discipline in medicine, and it's evidence-based. And people have better outcomes. So you have less diabetes, less high blood pressure, less depression. And it really does start with how you treat your body, which is indeed a machine. And so if you don't put proper fuel into it, if you don't take care of the maintenance, meaning you're doing 150 minutes of aerobic exercise, what's going to happen is you're going to wear it out early, and you're not going to have the endurance to get through the day and all the tasks that you need to do.
So what is the right prescription of things that we should think about as Black women when you say that? Because there are chemicals in food and things that we
Yes.
put in, and we have chemical reaction to those things. So a prescription, if you had
Yes.
to write one, and it could be physical, mental, and nutritional,
Absolutely.
all the things. What is the right prescription for Black women staying healthy?
Well, I would say that Black women are indeed the caregivers of the world. I know we are great friends, we're great mothers, we're great lovers, and then at work we show up and we show out.
Right.
And it's proven by how successful we are, because we are, unfortunately, at this moment, we're outperforming Black men even. And one of the reasons that we do that is because we don't really take opportunities for granted, right? And we teach our children that too,
That's
right?
right.
If you have an opportunity in front of you, you got to take full advantage, because it may not come again. And so what we have to do is start with the mental. We have to take care of ourselves. They say, I know it's sometimes an overused term about putting your oxygen mask on first, but we are so selfless that we're never self-preserving. And that means that we don't take care of ourselves. We do everything for everybody else, and we get whatever is left over. And it's usually nothing.
Right.
So from a mental health standpoint,
You can't pour from an empty cup.
you can't pour from an empty cup, but we are so naturally used to having an empty cup that we don't even know what a full cup or even a half full cup looks like. We think it's supposed to be empty.
Right.
We think our job is to fill up cups.
We've normalized hunger.
That's exactly right. No, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
And so one thing you have to do is you have to prioritize relationships. You have to spend that time with your girlfriends. You have to really invest in your love life. You have to, sex is important. Sex, it releases endorphins. We have to take care of our bodies, right? So we have to eat well. We have to exercise. We need to get at least 8 hours of sleep. restorative sleep,
Yeah.
because how are you going to be energized to get through that busy freaking
really
day
hard.
that we
Yes.
set up? We
Yeah.
set those busy days up,
Yeah.
and we have to learn how to respectfully say no. You can't do everything. And if
Right.
someone loves you, they will understand that you have to do stuff for yourself. And so that's, I think, what Black women have to do. We have to start really putting our needs to the forefront,
Yeah.
right? I remember when I was thinking about vacations, like family vacations. Every single year, I would go to Orlando. I hate Orlando. My best friend lives in Orlando. She's the best thing about Orlando.
Orlando is not peaceful, child.
It's
All
not.
the kids.
I'm sorry. That's all it was. Literally like every single time I went on vacation, my vacation, my paid vacation for me.
Yeah.
I was thinking about what I could do for my kids. Like, where
Right.
did they want to go?
Right.
And so even doing stuff like that, taking.
Let that be one of your vacations.
Let that be
And
one
then
of
do
them.
one for yourself.
But you have to do something. What is on
Exactly.
your bucket list?
That's
What
right.
did you say, this is what I want to accomplish, and these are the places I want to go?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I started to have to do for myself, because I would leave those vacations not feeling restored, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I went right back to work. So that's what I would say for Black women. We got to start learning how to fill our cups up. For some women, it is like going shopping.
Yeah.
For some women, it is buying things or pampering. But for me, I'm not really kind of that person. I don't really get value. I don't like shopping a lot
Right.
because I'm kind of cheap. I don't like
Yeah.
spending money, and I like money in the bank. But I do enjoy like going on great vacations, and actually not like I like to splurge on a vacation, not going
Yeah.
cheap. I want to go to a nice hotel where the bed is soft, and there's maybe some food that they can bring to my room, so somewhere room service, and
Yeah.
somewhere where I look out the window and it's beautiful. But sometimes that could be a little bit expensive. But you have to not feel guilty about working all the dang on time and spending a little bit of that money on yourself.
Absolutely. I love that you said that you cheap, but you like to say there's peace in having money in the bank.
That
child.
is, it is, because it's stressful in itself, right? You know, bills
Absolutely.
come, you can't pay them. So that's a whole journey that, fortunately, at this point, oh Lord, thank you, Jesus, for being past that. But it took a
Yeah.
long time.
Talk a little bit about menopause.
Yes.
The brain fall.
I know.
Weight gain.
49.
All the things that happen to women during menopause. I have a lot of friends that are just talking about
Hot
the things that
flashes.
happen to your body and you even mentally. And there's just a lot of physical characteristics that are involved in it and how
Absolutely.
that impacts Black women.
And it can be fatal. People forget that these hormones are in our bodies and they're protective. And so with aging, what happens is hormones, especially like estrogen and progesterone, they are going to go down. But what happens is normally you start feeling different, right? You may have mood swings, meaning that you're more irritable than you normally are, or even just fatigue, or you're just, what is that? What is your name, child? What is your name? You know, so regular things.
You know what I'm talking about.
You know what I'm talking about. The things that normally will come naturally to you, they just become a little bit more difficult to manage. And so what we know is that it's not actually about checking the levels, it's about how you feel. So you know, if I'm 49, and so what would happen for me is I would get annoyed at night because my husband would be like, you know, okay with the temperature being too high. But
Yeah.
it wasn't too high, it was just what it had always been. But
Yeah.
I'm so sweaty.
Yeah.
And so I started to sleep naked because I could nothing I put on.
Yeah.
It was always too much.
Right.
And so
So
that
probably was like, this is a bonus.
that's right, right? But I was like, you hot, get off of me, don't touch me, you know? And so he would even say that. He was like, your body heat. I'm like, yes, I'm having a hot flash. Like, this is crazy. So one thing that women have to recognize is that there's treatment for that. And so it is actually a medical condition. And it is something now that in medicine we are treating, meaning hormone supplementation is important.
Right.
Does everybody need a pellet? Don't get mad at me for saying this.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. This is what I say
Right.
about pellets. I think everybody who is diabetic, who suffers from diabetes, does not need an insulin pump. Every woman does not need an insulin pump or a hormone
pellet,
pump, which is a
yeah,
pellet.
yeah.
And so for some people, they need that, and that's normal. But you can start normally with a cream. Start with cream. If you're having vaginal dryness, there's topical estrogen cream. And then if you're having some changes, you can actually I have on an estrogen patch right now. And then progesterone. You can use creams, you can use pills, and you can use combo patches as well that gives you a little bit of estrogen and progesterone. And how you know that it's clinically indicated is insurance does cover it. And so
Okay.
talk to your doctor. And it's not really about even labs, right? We sometimes will check labs, but we don't even normally need to check labs. You can tell your doctor what you're going through. But the reason hormonal supplementation, especially estrogen, is important, and if you have a uterus, you have to do progesterone as well. We call it unopposed estrogen. We can't do that if you still have your uterus. But if you don't, then you can just do estrogen.
Yeah, I was going to ask, because when people hear estrogen and patches, they think dangerous.
Yeah,
this is
well,
something that can cause cancer.
So this
or
is,
what- yeah, let's
I'm
talk
glad you said that
Yeah.
because there was this huge study and we actually have now kind of debunked a lot of the findings from those studies because what the flaw in the study is just like with anything else. If you ask, let's say for instance, 100 women who have children who are suffering from autism, you'll say, "Oh, when you were pregnant, did you, I don't know, reach over your head?"
Right.
And they will say, "Oh yeah, I did reach over my head." Oh, well then reaching over your head is linked to autism.
Yeah.
So what will happen is sometimes we'll make these correlations that weren't based on data. What we found was when we looked at some of these poor outcomes, like increased heart disease and increased breast cancer, the population of people who were studied in these studies were mostly over 60, 70. And so for a woman over 70, your risk of breast cancer is tremendously higher. But when they started to separate the different decades of life, right? So a 40-year-old woman who uses hormone supplementation, not an increased risk of breast cancer, not an increased risk of heart disease, actually lower risk of heart disease. And so you started looking at some of these risk factors that we would have tied, that we just overall said that this is because of you doing this hormone supplementation. Had nothing to do with it. A woman over 70 is going to have a higher risk of breast cancer because age is the high, for women, age is the biggest risk factor for breast cancer.
Right.
And so same thing with heart attacks.
I was about to say, the older you are, the more, greater propensity to have a heart attack.
But what we found is once we started to separate those decades of life, we would find actually women, if you start hormone supplementation within the first 10 years of menopause, your outcomes are so much greater, including you actually live longer. It actually, it prolongs your lifespan.
Friends that are on the pellet, and frankly, I was like, I have to do a little bit more research. I'm scared. They look amazing. They were, the mood swings, the brain fog, everything, So it's definitely something I want to look into.
But but I'm saying that's not the only way.
Yeah.
So the easiest way, patches, creams, and we always start low and escalate slowly. So start with something topical first, and if that gets you where you need to be, then you're good.
Yeah.
And then after that, you can maybe try a pill or a patch. Yeah. And then if you've tried all these things and it doesn't work, then go to a pellet.
And I'm so glad that women are talking about these things.
Absolutely.
I mean, I remember when cancer was something that people didn't even talk about. Many Republicans could not talk about having breast cancer. And so now women, I think that we're being more transparent about these things, and we're sharing data and information so that we can get the help that we need.
Absolutely, because it's all about data. And I mean, I have a master's in science and public health, and I'm a data is my favorite word. It's so sexy to me. But it's important because a lot of times what will happen is we'll pass on information from friend to friend or, person to person, and your situation is totally different from somebody else's. And so maybe her doctor, because of her risk factor, said, you can't do this.
Right.
And so she's like, no, women can't do this. No, you can't, right? My mom had breast cancer very young. So there's certain things that I couldn't, that was, I was at higher risk for, than you are not.
Yeah.
And so it's all about talking to your doctor. And that's the thing, it's a medical condition that is treatable. But women have to go see their doctor and start treatment earlier, within the first 10 years of those brain fog symptoms. So we're not talking labs. We're talking when you start feeling them hot flashes, when you start feeling like I can't remember my kid's name, when I want to fight everybody, right? That's
like in early stages.
That's it. Those years are ticking away. So the later you start, actually, then of course, then the riskier it is.